It's a quiet atmosphere. You know, anybody can get out and walk down the street. We don't have people running around mugging people or anything like that. So me and my sergeant are actually deputized in the county as well. So we can go out into the county and we can assist the county in any capacity that's needed. We had a pretty major incident here about 2 months ago, and it was basically a standoff, and I believe we had 3 troopers that showed up on scene just to assist with doing the surrounding of the house. Ended up being kind of a barricaded suspect, and we had to get called out. But when I got here, I would say there was 11 to 12 houses that I would consider drug houses. There would be a lot of foot traffic, a lot of vehicle traffic. They would be trafficking narcotics, stuff like that. In the past 5 years, we've got that down to, I'm happy to say, 2. I'm not going to say that there's never a possibility of something bad happening, but for the most part, it's a really safe little community, and we work very hard to try to make sure it stays that way.
Well, Chief, are you taking us to your favorite spot on Highway 50 to keep an eye on traffic?
We're gonna watch some traffic and see if we can't catch anybody doing any violations, and maybe make a couple traffic stops.
Well, now I'm not allowed to go these speeds.
That's why we got lights. Hello, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Chief Wettstein with the Police Department. The reason I stopped you today is your tag has expired. If you got time, run out here east of Stafford about, half mile. I got a traffic stop that you could run the dog on. Okay, ma'am. I'm going to ask you this question. I want you to be honest with me. Do you have any marijuana in the vehicle? Do you have anything other than the pipe? No. I want to know what's in that bag. It's mushrooms. We're going to take the K9 out, and I'll probably get one of the officers to put the bike suit on.
Okay.
Watch the dog.
I can call Rebecca down. She might volunteer for that.
I don't know if she'd be okay with that.
Stafford Police K9, stop running, you will get bit! Nitro, Stella.
Well, hello. It's a big evening today. My wife is dropping me off at the police station.
Finally get to do what I've always wanted to do. I think your ride's here.
Really? Do I get to sit in the front or the back?
Depends on if you're a good boy or not.
Well, they might want to run my driver's license before. Or maybe they already have.
Probably have.
This is going to be a great video. Today we are riding along with Chief Carl Wettstein of the Stafford Police Department.
How y'all doing?
We're going to hear some great stories about the good, the bad, and the realities of a small farming town in 2025.
Works for me.
All right, it's Friday the 13th too.
That's right. That's it.
Well, Chief, what do you have in store for us tonight?
Well, I figured we are going to drive around. We might get lucky and get some calls, or we might make some traffic stops. Just kind of be out in the community, make sure we're being seen, and if we see anybody out walking around, stop to say hi. Kind of small town living, small town life.
Yeah.
We might get into some trouble. We may not. We'll just have to see.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career with law enforcement and Stafford PD.
Oh, well, I started back in, I believe it was 2003, if I remember right. That's when I went through the academy. I've been in law enforcement for about 22 years. I think I'm going on 23 now. I worked for a couple bigger agencies. I've worked for a couple smaller agencies. I came on with Stafford, I believe it was in 2019. I hired on part-time. They just needed some help on the weekends. They were kind of short-handed. And then it kind of turned into, they asked me to be the interim chief, and then I became the chief, and I've been the chief going on, I believe it's 5 years now. So been in Stafford for at least going on 7 years for sure. So,
okay. Well, what did you inherit when you arrived on the job?
As far as
well, what was the town like?
Oh, well,
what did you have to solve?
It was a pretty, I mean, it's obviously a small department, and we have we have 3 full-time, 4 full-time if you count me, and then we have 2 part-time positions. When I started, they had 1 officer. He was pretty young. He'd only been a law enforcement officer for about a year. He was working, all hours, and they just needed help. So came over here, and then we kind of started to restructure the PD and kind of make some plans. We brought back an officer that went out west. He is now my sergeant. Really good guy. He's also the head basketball coach for the high school boys team here in town. He's very invested in the community. And then I had one guy that I brought on, and he came on, started as part-time, then we hired him full-time, and then he became a K-9 officer. And then I have another officer that I pulled from the high school. He was a maintenance guy, and we brought him in, and he working for us for about 2 years now. So I've got a really good little department. All my guys are really integrated in the community. People know them, and that's what I like about small communities. It's more of a kind of everybody, and it makes it nice. We still treat it as, if someone messes up, it's not you get a break, but it just changes how you handle things, I guess, a little differently. I've been in the bigger cities and towns, and your interactions are a lot different with people. Not that they're any worse or any better, but it's just a different feel when you're in a small community such as this.
Now, you mentioned you recruited one of your officers from the community, and he was working at the high school. So what are the qualifications to work on a small town police department?
Well, so the officer that we recruited from the high school, he didn't have any prior law enforcement experience. We had talked to him for about 6 months, and he came out and did a couple ride-alongs, and he decided that it was something that he thought he might want to do. And once we decided, we picked him up, and he had to go through interviews with me. He had to go through academic testing. He had to go through psychological testing, and once everything was cleared, we decided to pick him up. We hired him, and then we put him through the academy, and that was 14 weeks. And then he came back and he did about a 14-week on-the-job training FTO program, and then after that, we put him on full-time.
So. Do jobs like this in police departments exist on like Wichita, Kansas City, Overland Park?
They do.
Where somebody from the community can just say, "Hey, I'd like to become a police officer."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody can apply. Obviously, you have to have a favorable background. You can't have certain things in your background. You have to have a good disposition. Most every place is the same way. They're going to do a physical agility. They're going to do a psychological test. They're going to do a written test. And then if they pass all those things, then they go in for what we call an oral board. Usually it's a command staff interview. You'll kind of try to figure out someone's character. Some departments will do polygraphs just to check on the background information. And then once that's all completed, then they'll go through academy. There's a state academy. A lot of the bigger agencies, they have their own academies. Wichita, Sedgwick County, for example, they have their own academy, and it's 21 weeks long. So it's a little bit longer than the state academy, but it's the same concept. Their FTO training might be a little bit longer. I think they're actually like around 27 weeks. I'm not 100% positive, but you have a lot more that you're dealing with on that aspect as far as geographics and things like that. So they're all about the same either way. But.
All right. I see we just pulled up to a house in Dakota. One of your officers is there. What's happening?
Well, we had an incident earlier. It was a theft of services call, and we had a tenant in a rental that was stealing water and electricity from another neighbor. And so we're making contact with one of the residents at that house, and we are going to issue them a criminal trespass warning, telling them that they can't go back on the property that they were taking water and stuff from. So we're going to go handle that, and then I'll be right back.
All right. I think I'll just stay here.
All right. Works for me.
Now, if you need backup, just give me a holler.
I'll
come shooting the camera.
Okay.
Well, nobody home?
Nobody's home.
It's a long night.
Well, we'll get to come back and see him here a little bit. Okay. We'll run across them sooner or later, I'm sure.
Where is dispatch?
Dispatch is over in St. John.
Okay.
We could go over there and I can show you that as well if you'd like to.
Yeah, I am just along for the ride and up for whatever. So I do have a theoretical question. How does it work with city limits and outside city limits? So say somebody robs the bank and they're booking for the city line. Do you have to stop?
Nope.
No.
We can go ahead and proceed. Now we would radio to our dispatch and we would let county units know that that's what happened.
Okay.
And then they would initially they would catch up to us and join in the pursuit. They would probably take that pursuit over, but we would stay with them. Me and my sergeant are actually deputized in the county as well, so we can go out into the county and we can assist the county in any capacity that's needed.
Okay, that's priceless.
Yeah, it's a good working relationship. I mean, we get along with county well, and it's a good partnership to have. But the sheriff has always been good to us, and he's always given us the opportunity if we need to go out to the county to follow up on a case that happens here in town, because a lot of the, I guess I would say, the criminal element, they come into town, they do things out in the county as well, and so sometimes it's very helpful for us to be able to go out and pursue leads or other avenues that we may need to if they live out in the county or whatever. So we have always had a really good working relationship with the county, and it's nice to have that. It's not always that way in other departments. So,
in our hometown of Seward, Alaska, there is the police department, state troopers, state parks, national parks, Coast Guard, NOAA, and I'm probably missing one, maybe two.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of overlap, but when there is an urgent call, everybody helps.
Goes. Yeah. And we have a couple troopers that live over in St. John. I think we have one that lives over there south of Maxville, and they're always very helpful. If one of them has a traffic stop out on the highway and they're not too far away, we'll go out there and back them up, and they do the same for us. If we have a traffic stop and they happen to be close, they'll come in, or if we have a call, sometimes they'll show up. We had a pretty major incident here about 2 months ago, and it was basically a standoff, and I believe we had 3 troopers that showed up on scene just to assist with doing the surrounding of the house. Ended up being kind of a barricaded suspect, and we had to get called out. But everybody works really well together in the smaller communities. I think that's what I like most about the small rural communities, is just you have a lot of people that in law enforcement community, but even in the community itself, I have no doubt in my mind that if I was out on the side of the road and I was in a tangle with somebody or something like that, I have no doubt in my mind that one of the citizens would probably stop and try to help. That's just kind of the way it is in these smaller towns and communities. So very, very peaceful, to know that, I guess, mindful of it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, just the sheriff's department and the city PDs. St. John has a police department. We have a police department. St. John, I believe, is 3 officers and a chief. And then Maxville, they have 1 officer. Their chief just recently retired. He'd been in the game for a very long time, and he just decided it was time for him to retire. And so they have 1 officer over there, and the county helps them quite a bit as well. But that's, other than the troopers in the area. I think we've got 1 game warden that lives somewhere in Stafford County, and I honestly don't know where that is. I think he lives up in the northern part of the county.
Oh, I forgot the brown shirt fish and game officers, because the blue shirt troopers are the roads.
That's KHP. That's Kansas Highway Patrol, and then your brown shirts or tan shirts, however you want to call it, that is your wildlife and game wardens.
Okay.
So,
may I ask a tough question?
Sure.
So a lot of people may be watching this video and evaluating like, hey, is this small farming town life for me? What are the challenges that you're facing in these towns right now, and what were they when you came on to the department?
When I started back in 19, I came from a narcotics background. I liked working. I worked undercover. I did some other stuff with the narcotics stuff. So that was kind of my focus, even at the small departments that I worked at. When I got here, I would say there was probably 11 to 12 houses that I would consider drug houses. There would be a lot of foot traffic, a lot of vehicle traffic. They would be trafficking narcotics, stuff like that. In the past 5 years, we've got that down to, I'm happy to say, 2.
That's
and
great.
One of those, they're moving out right now. So the main thing about some of the Stafford County, Reno County, Pratt County, while you do have the drugs in the larger cities like Hutchinson and Wichita, I mean, obviously they're everywhere. The smaller communities, if you have a police department that's not so much proactive and they just kind of take calls as they come, that kind of stuff can get out of hand, because if you're not out there actively trying to thwart some of this behavior, it's just going to grow and it's just going to fester. I feel like my department, my guys, I feel like we're all very proactive. We get involved with, talking to the community, doing all sorts of different things that we can to try to figure out who the people are that would be using the methamphetamines and the fentanyl and stuff like that, and trying to do search warrants and all that good stuff. So, I mean, you got to be active. You got to stay involved in it. You got to be in touch with the community. I always say that, the elderly community in these smaller towns, they're some of the best people to talk to, because, they see and they hear a lot and they're not afraid to talk to you. Sometimes the younger population, they may not be so engaged with the police, I guess I should say. So the elderly element of the community, they're very valuable to have in that aspect. And we do have, my sergeant's involved in the school and he does the basketball and stuff. I mean, he's got a lot of good connections, and kids trust him. They'll come and talk to him if they know that there's a problem or they see something. And that's also an invaluable tool to have that, in the bigger cities like Wichita and Hutch and stuff like that, while they do have school resource officers and stuff like that, they may not have that connection with, like they would with their coach, or they see him all the time, and so it's just easier for them to talk to him. He's very active in always having a foreign exchange student, and he gets out there and he really gets involved in the community, and it's a big positive for us for sure. So,
well, having somebody invested in the community so well is great on every level.
Right. And I mean, honestly, he's just setting himself up for, if he ever decided that one day he wanted to be chief, that's the kind of thing that I'm always promoting. I mean, if I was to ever decide that I wanted to go somewhere else, or I was ever to have an opportunity, you have somebody that's in the wings that can move into that position if the city so chooses that that's their liking, and he already knows how everything operates, and he kind of sets himself up for that position. So I'm a firm believer in having your bench strength be pretty strong, no matter how small of a department. That way, if something does happen, you can have a quick reaction and you can forward that, fill that vacancy, and it can kind of go on as normal and not really have too much disruption in the process. So
cross training with the dog would be challenging.
Yes, that would be
everything
challenging.
Else is more or less manageable, and it's a good, prudent way of conducting business.
Yeah, it's just having a plan, and I don't want to say that we're the only ones that do it by no means, but it's just, you got to think about those things and making sure that the officers are set up with the right equipment. And yes, we are a small town, but we still have to have the proper equipment to do their jobs when they do need they do have the need for that. I'm a firm believer in I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So it's just one of those things, just kind of taking all those things into account and making sure that everything's set up properly for everybody to do their job, I guess.
Small towns have been known to have some struggles. For example, aside from the initial draw of Alaska, Rebecca was able to do loan reimbursement, and a lot of people do go to Alaska and they only stay for 2-3 years to get some of their school debt paid off. That causes retention problems for teachers, and I would imagine law enforcement officers too.
Correct.
They use it as a stepping stone. So what do little departments do to try to keep that from happening?
Well, little departments have that same issue. There is officers that will go to work for a small department, and they will get certified. They'll get sent through the academy, and then they may work at a little department, and then they may get an offer from a larger department. Larger department, it always brings, it can be better gear. It can be obviously more pay. That's one of the things that I consistently try to keep an eye on, especially with my guys. And when I bring on someone brand new and they've never been in law enforcement, I have that conversation with them. How long are you planning on staying? Is this just something that you want to be a stepping stone to a bigger agency, or do you think you want to go to KHP? Do you think you want to go to a place like Wichita? I ask them, what are your interests? Do you want to be on a SWAT team? Do you want to be on, do you want to be a detective? Do you want to work narcotics? And those are things that I always try to talk to people. I had that conversation with Dakota. I had that conversation with Andrew. And I try to get a gauge for how they think and how they're wanting to advance in their career. One of the things that I do is I make sure that I have money set aside in my budget every year to send the officers to training. I give them each $2,500 worth of training every year, which is pretty generous compared to most larger departments even. I try to send them to specialty trainings, and it's not without con. I just sent Dakota off to firearms school. He's also an armorer for rifles and pistols, and that makes him more appealing to bigger agencies. And when I say bigger agencies, you look at Great Bend or something like that, they have a guy that, hey, we could offer this guy a job, and he's already certified in the state of Kansas. He's got specialized training, so that makes him automatically more valuable to a larger department. So that's one thing that I've always done with my guys. I send Cole off to leadership training. Andrew obviously went K9. He went that route. We're going to send him to truck CVSA training. He's going to get certified in that. So while it's a benefit to those guys, I want to make sure that I set them up for success. I hope that a little bit of that setting them up for success will allow them to stay with us longer. Maybe there'll be a little bit of loyalty there, and they'll stick it out a little bit longer, and maybe they're perfectly okay with the community and they're happy and they stay until they retire. You just never know.
Yeah.
So
only the military can kind of lock them into something.
Yep.
Free will still remains for civilians.
It still remains for us as well. That is right.
So you're talking about the elders and seniors, and I almost think, for elders and seniors, Stafford has a lot to offer.
They do. They have the senior center. They have the pickleball courts, the rec center. The
hospital right in town.
They have the hospital here in town. They have a physical therapy place here in town, chiropractor in town. We do have Doc Farmer. He's got a clinic here in town. A lot of the little amenities. I would like to see us get to the point to where we have maybe a Meals on Wheels that's something that I think that we could utilize for sure in our little town for some of the elderly people, where they could have meals delivered to them and stuff. That's something that I think would be a good thing to have. But we have nice parks. We have, it's a quiet atmosphere. Anybody can get out and walk down the street. We don't have people running around bugging people or anything like that. So it's just getting the community as a whole to figure out how to, bring businesses and have the amenities that everybody wants and everybody needs. And our city administrator, she does a great job of reaching out and trying to do some of that stuff. And we have a lot of good city workers too. I mean, a lot of them grew up in this community, so they take a great pride in it, and they want to make sure that everybody's taken care of. And it's just figuring out what that is, figuring out what's the best way to take care of everybody and making sure everybody's has a good living, I guess is the best way to put it.
On a similar question, I think Stafford has a lot to offer young families. If you look, you have the swimming pool, the tennis and pickleball courts, you have a couple parks, there's a golf course, there's a school where your kids could actually still walk to school, and there's no metal detectors.
Absolutely, yes.
It's people living in the cities don't necessarily experience this. And I'll put it out there, June 13th, there are big cities in our country where law enforcement officers are struggling right now to keep the peace.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're just sitting here driving
around in an air-conditioned vehicle.
Yeah.
Not busy at all. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's that's the best thing. I just like a few minutes ago, I had an interaction with a group of kids and get to sit there and talk to them. It's positive interaction. They say hi, and we can they can ride their bikes up and down the streets, and you don't have to worry. I'm not going to say that there's never a possibility of something bad happening, but for the most part, it's a really safe little community, and we work very hard to try to make sure it stays that way. We have our problems just like anybody else, and you're never gonna be at a zero crime rate. But as far as the kids going out, I mean, kids can walk to school in the morning, they go home in the afternoon. They parents are at work, kids are at home. We still have people, and while I do not recommend this, we still have people that leave their doors unlocked at night, in their cars
Yes.
and their houses, and that's almost unheard of. And there's other little Kansas towns that are the same way. I'm not saying they're not, but again, something that I definitely don't recommend. But that's just the testament to living in a small town. And I've worked cases where cars have been broke into, and that's the first thing that people say is like, well, I've left my vehicles unlocked for 30 years. It's like, well, I get it, but things change. But
well, there are whole massive sections of this country that do not lock their doors.
Right.
And it's just, I don't want to let the secret out, but if you're in the country in America, you're gonna just leave your doors unlocked.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, no, and it's true, and that's the same way on a lot of farmsteads and stuff like that. I mean, my parents, I grew up on the farm. My parents still live on the farm, and my parents are the exact same way. They don't lock their doors on anything, So, but it's the difference of being in a small community and a rural community, and being in a big city like Wichita or Kansas City.
Well, at home in Alaska, it's thieves have to think twice before breaking into somebody's house.
Yeah.
With the per capita number of guns.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
Just saying that you're allowed to defend yourself in Alaska,
Right.
and there is a very unique type of crazy up there. I love it.
Yep.
But we do have our own special kind up there.
Right. Yep, I can appreciate that, and it's kind of the same way in these small communities like this. It's a lot of people have firearms, and a lot of people they know that if someone breaks into their house and they pose a threat to them, I mean, they can defend themselves. It's just, and I prefer it be that way. I would rather live in a state that afforded the citizens that opportunity than live in a state that didn't. So,
Well, Chief, are you taking us to your favorite spot on Highway 50 to keep an eye on
yeah,
traffic?
we're gonna watch some traffic and see if we can't catch anybody doing any violations and maybe make a couple traffic stops.
Okay. So these these towns on the Kansas highways, I'm not going to call them speed traps, but you just get on autopilot. You know, you're going down the road. Next thing you know, you're going 55 at a 40.
Yep. You know, we try to enforce speed definitely downtown area where it's 20 mile an hour, but you know, like here on the highway, we're pretty gracious. We give 10 over for the most part. But, you know, we're looking more for, I don't even have a radar in my car. I actually look more for like driver reactions, and 50 is a major highway that goes across the state, connects other states, obviously. So I like to, as I mentioned earlier, I like to do the narcotic stuff. So I like to try to do some interdiction on the highway. I like to try to get drugs and stuff that flow through on Highway 50. We go. I've sent most of my guys. I've been to several interdiction trainings. We try to watch for driver reactions and stuff like that. And then it's one of those deals. You stop somebody, you just have a conversation with them, and it's all about how you talk to people. I mean, you got to be nice to them, and which you should be. But you just try to get. Basically, you're just trying to piece together a narrative on, you know, where they're coming from, where they're going, and sometimes people aren't very good at. I guess lying is the best way to say it. So those are the people that you look into a little bit more. And if it's not a bad conversation and you can't find anything wrong, then usually they get a warning and you kick them loose and tell them to have a nice day. So, but it's a good place to sit out here and kind of just keep an eye on things. We got a pretty fast response time. And if I do have a call come out, I've got another officer out right now, but you know, we can get somewhere in anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes in town, 5 at the most. That's another benefit, I guess, living in a small community. You go to Wichita or something, you may be waiting 15, you may be waiting 20 before you see somebody. It just all kind of depends on what the call is, and how fast you need law enforcement, I guess. So that's another positive, I would say, to a small community, is having just a fast response time with your police and your EMS and your fire. That's a good thing.
The other day we were talking, and you were saying that if there is a bust and there are seizures, that the local departments get a percentage, and that helps fund, you know, all the expenses.
Right. So
can you explain that a little more?
Well, so if we do a search warrant on a residence, or let's say we stop a car and it's transporting a large amount of narcotics or a large amount of cash, you can go through the seizure process and you can seize that property. And there's other things, there's criteria that you have to meet. But if it's basically something that you can show was bought with ill-gotten gains and not purchased because they have a full-time job, I guess the best way to put it is you have a drug dealer that's transporting drugs, you know, all over the countryside, and they don't really have a job per se, that being a drug dealer is their job. Then you can take that vehicle, you can seize that vehicle. It has to be awarded to you, obviously, through the court. And then once you get that vehicle, you can turn around and you can sell it. The nice thing about the proceeds for them, that kind of action, if you take it, is that money that you get from that sale of that vehicle, or, you know, if you get $20,000 off of a interdiction stop or whatever, that money has to be spent on training and equipment only. It's not something that you can take and I can't pay an officer with it. I can't put it back into the general fund of the city so they can go spend it somehow. It has to be used for equipment and training of the officers only. So if I can do something like that and I can buy some equipment, whether it's, you know, weapons or, you know, a new car, you know, radars, whatever it is, if I can save that money and not have to pull that money from my existing budget, and I can buy that stuff with that seizure stuff or seizure money, then I can take that money that I saved in my budget at the end of the year and I can give that back to the city. So it works out pretty good. It kind of depends on where you're at. We have a good county attorney that allows us to do that. I do know there are certain counties or certain states that they frown upon that. They don't want you doing that. And I'm just I'm glad that we work in a county and in a state that doesn't frown upon it as long as you do everything the right way and go through the protocols that they allow us to do that for sure. So.
Well, there's no shortage of equipment needed for law enforcement officers.
No, it's
constant upgrades to technology.
Yes.
It's almost endless.
Yes, and the bad thing about it is it's I don't know. I sometimes look at it as it kind of feels like it's a money making racket. It's you buy something that you think's the latest and greatest, and then 4 years later it's obsolete and they want you to purchase something else, or they want you to upgrade, or this or that, and you can get around some of that stuff. But just body cams and in-car cameras and stuff like that, I mean, it's they're always coming out with stuff that changes, and it seems like you got about a 5-6 year shelf life on that stuff. And then if you get a new car or put a new unit online, you happen to get a different camera, a different operating system, and they're always more expensive. So.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody in the business of cameras.
Yeah.
This one right here, that's the Pocket 3. They change every year and a half or so, and they do all have great features.
Yeah, they have great features. I mean, I guess it's just kind of like cell phones too. I mean, you can probably get away with a cell phone that they made 10 years ago, but they always have the latest and greatest.
Yep.
People want to buy them, so they do that.
So a lot of just watching.
Yeah, it can be fairly active on certain nights, and then there's other nights during the week that, a little town like this, the sidewalks kind of roll up at 11:30 midnight, and you have a couple knuckleheads out there running around, but mostly everybody's at home in bed. So maybe being on Friday night, it'll be a little bit more exciting.
I'm noticing in your squad car, you don't have a giant computer screen here. Is that because of the department, or is that just the equipment of the car?
That is just, I choose not to have a laptop. Now, my other guys, they do have laptops in their vehicles. They can do reports from their cars. They have access to Wi-Fi and everything. I don't do that just for the simple fact, trying to save a little bit of money. I don't do as many of the reports as the other guys, and it's something simple. If I make an arrest or something like that, I can always go back to the office and do my report there. Okay. But my vehicle is the only one that does not have a laptop in it. And then, like I said, I don't have a radar in mine either. I do have a handheld radar that I can use if I need to, but all my other guys, they have radars and laptops and everything in their cars. So,
well, while we're here waiting for a perp, let's talk about cars. What do you got here? You have the Dodge.
I have a Dodge Durango.
Okay.
I've got 3 Dodge Durangos on the fleet, and then I've got a Dodge pickup. We buy all of our vehicles, with the exception of the pickup. We buy all of our vehicles from KHP. They're used. They come to us with about 50,000 miles on them. They got most of the lights set up in them already. It's a budgetary thing. Try to save some money that way instead of trying to buy a new vehicle. I can get into these for $35,000 roughly. We average about 12,000 miles a year. So if we run our vehicles up to 100,000, I can get 5 to 6 years out of them before I have to get rid of them. And I'm getting them at a half the price of getting a new one and outfitting it. So it's kind of more of a trying to save money that way, and then gives me a little bit more money to spend on weapons and, like the computers and stuff like that in the car. The training for the officers as well kind of helps us afford some of those things that we wouldn't be able to afford if we bought brand new cars. So,
well, and a vehicle with 50,000 miles on it still has so much life left in it.
Yeah, and the nice thing about KHP is they take really good care of their vehicles, and it's all highway miles for them for the most part. I mean, they get out on the dirt roads, but it's a lot of highway miles, and the gentleman that runs that up there, he takes great pride, and he makes sure all the vehicles are very well maintained. And then, anytime I've bought vehicles from them, they make sure that anything that needs to be fixed is fixed. I mean, they do take really good care of the smaller agencies that buy vehicles from them. So it's a very good program that they have for sure.
Yeah, they have definitely steered away from the Police Interceptor Crown Victorias.
Yeah, the old Crown Vic. I cut my teeth on that back when I first started in law enforcement, and I will say these are a lot easier to get in and out of for sure.
They are, but they're a unibody construction vehicle.
Yes.
They're not a body on frame.
Right.
Complete different ballgame. So they do ride better.
Yes.
They are lighter,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not quite as strong as a good old-fashioned truck frame.
Yeah, they're not quite as strong. I do like these because they're all-wheel drive. They do really good in the wintertime. We have ice and snow out here, obviously, so they do get around fairly well. They don't get everywhere. The county has mostly pickups and Tahoes, but they're a little bit higher center of gravity, but they're out on 2-track roads. We don't usually get out on those very much, so every once in a while.
Did you repeat what you saw?
Well, I thought I saw a expired license plate, but I'm going to go check the license plate and make sure it's actually expired.
Oh, okay.
$130 dispatch, 28 Kansas.
Go ahead, 130.
It's going to be 294.
Returns expired to a 2019 silver Buick Envision to a expiration was 9 of 2024. Insurance is valid until 12 of 2025 and it's signal 30.
10-4, just double checking. You did say that was expired, correct?
Before it's expired.
10-4, thank you. So we will wait for her to leave, and then we will stop her and find out why she has an expired registration.
And the color-coded tags really do assist.
Right. So that one's a red. The one thing sticks out in my mind. Once it gets to a point where everybody's past that, that's the one thing that they were saying this year is red is dead. So that means that all the red stickers are expired, and obviously people have different last names and they have different months that they have to re-up their tags and stuff like that. But she has a red tag on that. Now, I could stop her and she could show me a valid registration, and she could just be like, oh man, I just forgot to put it on, and very, very well could be. But when I run it through the state, it comes back expired. So that would lead me to believe that she does not have current registration on that vehicle, and for whatever reason. So we'll wait for her to leave, and then we'll make a traffic stop and talk to her about it.
While we're waiting for that, so we were overstaying our visa, and we pulled up in front of the government offices in, I think it was Sevilla, Spain. And my wife jumped out. I did the whole hazards, because everywhere in the world, hazards on is like a parking pass.
Right.
And I was there for like 15 minutes, and this van of police officers came over, and 4 of them jumped out, and not aggressively, and they just started asking questions, inquiring. And there's a lot of rules to driver's licenses: 3.5 tons, 7.5 tons.
Right.
And then our plate in Alaska is permanent registration, so it has a Z tag. So they're wanting to know all this information. And then so it's about 150 right now when this is going down. My wife comes out and she's watching, and she's actually starting to drool, because all these men are freaking handsome. They're like Antonio Banderas, Andy Garcia in their prime. And so she eventually comes over, and then the supervisor comes over, and he's like, you know what? Let's just let him go. And I think what luck, was in our favor is in Spain, between 2 and 5 p.m., it's called siesta. That's when, I'm not saying everybody does, but people go to have lunch, they drink a bottle of wine, they take a nap, they return to work at 5.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to take a guess it was siesta time, and he was like, just let these guys go.
We want to go get our siesta in.
It's actually a quite unique mindset over there, especially in Spain. They work to live, not live to work. Right. And in America, we just got this ingrained, like, it's a land of opportunity. If you fail, it's your own fault. But
right.
Hey, you know what? Let's just drink some wine from 2 to 5 and take a nap.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that for sure. A lot of people do. They work really hard, and they don't. America's just a different type, I guess. And I'm not well traveled whatsoever. I mean, you have a lot more experience with that than I do. But
Now, this is quite interesting, being on the other end of this scenario. So, waiting for this person to pull away and hit the highway, and then get to do your job.
And you never know what you're gonna find.
Like a box of chocolates.
You might find a box of chocolates. Never know. Might find a box of chocolates that have some funny business in them too.
Yeah.
You never know.
I hate to say it, traveling has kind of made me a little more. My guard is up more and less trusting.
Absolutely. And that's something that a lot of people that are well traveled, they for sure are a little bit more aware of those things. Never fails.
What's your mile mark?
As far as
How far out can you stop somebody?
the crime committed here in the city limits. So
okay.
I can go out as far as I need to get her stopped.
All right. These have V6s nowadays?
No, this one's a V8.
It is a V8.
It's a V8.
Oh, those twin turbo V6s out nowadays.
Those get out and move too, for sure.
Can't lie, this is a bit exciting. Well, now I'm not allowed to go these speeds.
That's why we got lights. So the one thing you have to be careful when you are pulling up somebody this fast, they sometimes pull over and jam on the brakes, and
Yeah.
it can get they can stop pretty quick.
This person's trying to obey the law. Little do they know they're the reason, right?
The reason they're getting stopped. One 30 dispatch 1044.
130.
Be that previous 28 that I ran. Ought to be out at 100th and East 50th, just east of Stafford. It's going to be a silver Buick. So she'll come back and she should tell me that they're signal 30. The vehicle, we already know the tag.
1908.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Sorry.
Chief Wettstein with the Police Department. The reason I stopped you today is your tag is expired. Okay, it's got a red sticker on it.
Okay.
Do you have a current registration for it?
I am pretty sure that when I got my tag, I thought I had paid it up for 2 years. And
Nope, this one expires 9/30 of 2024.
holy shit. Good Bob. I'm
Yeah,
a
they're only
nurse
good-
And I live and I work in. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're only good for 1 year at a time.
Well, I was close to my September date from when I purchased it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
oh my God.
Okay. You have your driver's license
I
proof
sure
insurance?
do.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to have to give you a citation for the expired tag, okay?
Uh-huh.
But what you can do, you can get your registration current,
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then when I give you this ticket,
Okay.
you can call the court, and then you can show them that you got a valid proof and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So much.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go back and check all your information. I am gonna write an NTA, but I'll try to do it as fast as I can. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
No
Thank
worries.
you. Okay, so she is expired. 1:30 dispatch, 27 Kansas. 27 is going to be King 05. I will be issuing. Hey, how close are you to being ready?
I'm dressed. I was just getting the dinner ready. I'm kind of prepped.
Okay, if you got time, run out here east of Stafford about, half mile. I got a traffic stop that you could run the dog on. Could be a possible.
You want me to bring Lacey?
Oh, that's fine. I don't care.
You what?
I said I don't care. It's just if you can get out here in the next 8 to 10 minutes. I'm writing her in a citation right now. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
1:30, go ahead.
Your 2829 weight is expired to a 2019 silver Buick Envision. To expiration is 9 of 2024. Insurance is valid until 12 of 2025. Your 27 returned to a valid regular Class B. Expiring, she's restricted to corrective lenses. She has no history. She's signal 30.
10-4. Some of the things that she just said to me as far as where she's coming from, where she's going, some of her mannerisms, also just the way the car smells. I don't know how to explain it, but when you've been doing this for as long as I have, there are just certain things that kind of set off those spidey senses. So I'm going to write her an NTA. I'm going to have the dog come out and run around real quick. If the dog doesn't indicate on anything, she's going to get a ticket. She's going to go. If the dog does indicate, well, obviously we'll deal with that as we go. But there's just a couple things in our conversation that we had and how she was reacting, nervousness as well, and what she does for a living and stuff like that. That's just kind of throws me off a little bit. So we're going to, since we got the dog, we're going to use him. And like I said, if nothing comes of it, then we don't have to worry about it.
So now, to me, it seems like an act of disrespect to be smoking a cigarette while you're engaged with a law enforcement officer.
Well,
how does that come off?
I mean, I don't necessarily look at it as a disrespect, but that is one of those things that when you study human behavior, while that is perfectly normal for her to be a smoker, at a time of getting stopped at a traffic stop, you could say that is one thing that she could be nervous, and she's trying to let go of that nervous energy. So that's one of those things that I look at when I do make contact with somebody.
And in my odd mindset, I'm like, that's rude. For reference, when somebody gets pulled over, do you prefer them to get over a little bit extra so you can then have a safety barrier? Because I notice law enforcement officers tend to put their car just justified a little left.
I prefer them to get over as far as they can. I'm going to obviously position my car however I can. If I have the lights on, I may pull over a little bit on the center line and try to force traffic to go over. But on 2-lane highways like this, it's even harder if they don't pull over, obviously.
Because every movement I make, I try to be courtesy. You know, like, okay, you know, that dude is standing out the middle of the road. What if I just justify over a little bit? But not that I get pulled over all the time.
She is traveling from, I've got sour smell in there, pretty nervous, started smoking as soon as I got up to the window. Just, I don't know. Yeah. 1:30, 1:33. What's our next court date?
It is amazing watching a dog work.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
cool.
it so much. Like border collies, herding sheep, I don't care what it is. It is just a beautiful thing watching a dog.
Okay. Okay. I didn't smell the weed, but I didn't get like super close to it either. So.
Oh yeah, I can smell it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, ma'am. I'm going to ask you this question. I want you to be honest with me. Do you have any marijuana in the vehicle?
I do have marijuana in the vehicle. There, I did find the pipe after he left.
Okay. Do you have anything other than the pipe?
No.
Okay. All right. So that changes things a little bit. Okay. I'm not going to arrest you or anything like that.
Okay.
But I need to have the pipe, so I'm going to take that from you.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then you don't have any other vegetation. It's just the pipe.
Yes.
Because if I search the vehicle and I find something that you don't know that's in there, then that's going to change the situation. So if you got a baggie in here or anything, just be honest with me. And if you're not 100% positive and you think someone left something in here, then I'll let you look through your bag.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Okay. Then how about you do that for me?
All right.
Okay. You look for it.
Absolutely.
Andrew.
Is the dog?
Yeah, you're fine. I'm going to have him look in that green bag.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is vanilla, homemade vanilla.
Okay.
Not. There's that, by the way. That's a bunch of goodies.
Okay. You don't have any loose leaf in here that you know of, though? Okay. All right. Go ahead and have a seat back in your vehicle for me, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Joel, do you have any bags? You have any evidence bags?
Okay, I apologize. No, because that's
So when I asked you about it, when I asked you about THC, marijuana, anything, you told me that nothing was in it.
Now, why would you not know that's in that bag?
This is my golf bag. I
You're not going
promise.
through that bag?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Come in back.
Okay, go ahead, come on out. Go ahead, come on out. Please step out, ma'am. Go ahead and step back here to my car. Just go ahead and put your hands right here. Go ahead, turn around. Put your hands right here.
I've got my keys and gum.
Okay. That's all you got in your pockets? Do you have any pockets underneath your dress?
I do not.
Okay. It just got shorts on or whatever underneath her? Okay. All right. Can I sit her in your car for a second? Yeah, okay.
Can I stay here, please?
No, I'm going to sit you back there. You're not going to jail right now, okay? But we're going to finish searching your car. So if there's anything else in there you need to let us know about, you probably better let us know now.
Can I finish looking?
No, you're
was
not
still
looking no
looking.
more. Okay. But what I'm saying is if there's anything else in that car other than marijuana, you need to be honest with me and tell me right now. Okay. What was the pills that were in the bottle that didn't have a mark? Mucinex? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to have the deputy take you back there. He's going to sit in the car. If I do not find anything else other than the marijuana, okay, I'm going to write you a ticket for the marijuana, okay, and I'm not going to arrest you. But if I find anything else in that car other than weed, then you're going to go to jail. I just want to be honest with you,
Yes.
okay?
No,
okay.
and
Okay. Follow this deputy back there. He's going to sit you in the car for now, okay? That one's Mucinex, I think.
That's what she said. This one's OxyContin. When she told me, I have prescription pills, but it's only Adderall. So you got Oxy.
Does it have her name on it?
Yep, it has her name on it, but I don't know if it's truly Oxy. I'm going to assume that it is.
Well, we can check it real quick.
She's flying right off the bat. Oh, hey, look at that.
Oh, more weed. And TOC. I think this is mushrooms.
You think that is?
Yeah.
That's what I was guessing when I saw it. But I was like, I just thought, I opened up the white bag, I was like, well, you told me you didn't have any marijuana here. No, she just told me, I think it's empty. There's marijuana in it.
What do you think that is?
Shrooms?
That's what I was thinking. Let me go ask her what this is. Help him finish search. She's got TOC in the back.
That is, I did not even know that was
That's mushrooms. That's not weed.
I did not, sir. Like, I haven't even got, like, I didn't know what was in there. I promise.
Okay. Is there anything else in that car I need to know about?
No, it's,
Okay. Because this isn't looking good.
I completely understand. I know.
Okay. When's the last time you used? Are you under the influence right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Where are you headed?
I to Wichita to get my son. My mom took him because I had a funeral this afternoon.
You got beer in the back. You've got bottles, little bottles. Now, granted, they're closed. They're not open. But the beer is on ice, and it has to be in the original packaging. You can't transport it like that.
I was not. Okay. I wasn't drinking. I mean, there's no open bottle, but
Okay. Okay. This is a problem. This is a problem right here. Okay? And I'm not trying to jam you up, young lady. I'm just telling you. You understand how it looks for me, right? When I ask you if you had anything in the vehicle other than a pipe. It's mushrooms. Well, I was hoping she was just going to give me the stuff and we were going to be on our way. I was going to write her a ticket for marijuana and...
Well, you said check this bag, and I was like, that's really weird that she closed the door and only checked that bag.
Right.
And I was like,
Well, that's why I told you to check the green one.
Yeah,
Because I was like, well, why did she not look in the green one?
Yeah, unzipped it, I was like, haha, got you. But I could already smell marijuana.
Yeah. You smelled it like the first time I came. I was smelling more of that. I smelled more of that sour smell. I was like,
when I walked up, it was,
yeah.
I could smell the marijuana.
But when I came up there, first thing she did was she lit a cigarette and she had the window down. So I kind of got overcome by the cigarette smell.
That's why I was still going to run nitro either way, because if it was only marijuana, it proves my point that he's not trained on marijuana, which works for me. I think you got another little Ziploc baggie, or another open container if you want it.
Oh, TOC, great. Do you... So I've got a guy riding with me, so I can't really transport. I can put it in the back seat and I can transport. Do you want to transport or... Okay.
You just take calls from me.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll even do the paperwork.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. What do you think? We ball her up or we let her go with a ticket and then do a district on the marijuana? She's not under the influence.
She seems awfully
When was she expired last?
On her license?
Oh, because is her tag not expired?
No, her tag's expired.
Oh, well, she has an expired tag from 2023 also.
Oh. So she was, that was in Trego County? Yeah, Trego. So she's good 2024. She expired 9 September of 2024. So she's like, oh, I thought it was for 2 years.
Clearly not when she's already gotten a ticket.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, that's
if it
okay.
was just marijuana, I'd say, meh. Mushrooms, that is a rarity out here.
Let's hook her. Let's
What
hook her.
What is shrooms considered?
Psilocybin. Well, you two go put her on lockers, and then we're going to tow the vehicle. Expired registration, TOC, marijuana, shrooms. Yeah, and it'll all go through district. I've got her license. I'll get that to you here in a minute. Okay.
Never a dull moment?
Nope. Hey, she's going to be 10-15 for possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia, expired tag, possession of mushrooms or psilocybin. I'll get all the paperwork done, but Joel's going to transport for me because I've got a 1080, and then I'll get back to the office and I'll get a quick list of charges for you. But that's what she's being arrested on, and then we're going to tow the vehicle because of the expired tag. If you can fax me the 28 and the 27 to the PD, that would be great.
Check those.
Okay.
Alrighty, I will do that.
All right, thank you. Can you look those up? Go to the pill finder and look those up and just see what that is. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'll fill out chart sheets real quick.
Now, how do you tell fentanyl from an aspirin, for example? I know a lot of medicines have numbers, like, you know, there's apps so you can say, oh, this is an ibuprofen or whatever. But
Right. Most of it is you just test it. You're going to have to test it. Full expired tag turned into all.
lesson, check if you're going to commit crimes, be smart and make sure your brake lights and turn signals and tags aren't bad.
Right.
So I said I don't know the smell of meth, but I did recognize the smell that you put in the back with your evidence bag. So you did not, so you found mushrooms and cannabis? Okay. And whatever those mystery pills are.
Yeah. Which they could be something completely fine, but seeing how she was dishonest from the get-go, I don't know if they are.
So which offense is landing her in jail for the night? The cannabis, the mushrooms, the paraphernalia, or the tags?
The mushrooms.
The mushrooms.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. Now, what are mushrooms? Are they Schedule 1?
Yes.
They are. Okay. Is that a pretty rare thing to find here in Stafford? Or mushrooms? I shouldn't say Stafford, but
in this case, yeah. I mean,
do the dogs? They're trained for mushrooms?
no. So the dog. That was just something we found once we searched the vehicle. When I initially went up there, like you observed, she lit a cigarette. She rolled her window down. So I was getting mostly the cigarette smell. By the time the canine officer went up there, I don't know if you heard him or not when he came back. He's like, "Oh, I smell weed." So she was done burning the cigarette, and so he got more of a smell of what I didn't get, and so that allows us to search the vehicle. And then when we asked her, "Is there anything in the vehicle?" she said, "Well, I think I have a pipe in the vehicle." And it's like, okay, well, we're going to search it. So if there's anything else, you need to let me know. And then we found 2 or 3 different baggies full of weed and that had marijuana in them and what I assumed to be marijuana. And then we found the bag that was the mushrooms. I went back and just said, you know, these aren't weed. And she's like, I didn't even know those were in there. And I was like, okay. All right. So that changes things.
It's just a Tylenol PM.
Now, if it was a simple cannabis stop, would you just dump it on the ground, mash it with your foot, and give them a ticket? Or how does that work in 2025?
If it would have just been the cannabis, I would have taken it for evidence, and I would have given her a ticket and let her go. So if it would have just been the cannabis, she would have just got a ticket and got to go on her merry way. Now, she wasn't under the influence. If she would have been under the influence, then we would have done something completely different.
I'll ask her about this one. Only because it's powdered and it's in a capsule.
Okay.
You guys worry about touching that crap? Like gloves and...
Yeah, we probably should do it. I had gloves on earlier and then I took them off. But
I'm a bit of a germaphobe in that regard.
I've got plenty of gloves and hand sanitizer in here.
I worked at the Ford dealership. The most disgusting thing I had to do was go in and turn on the car to get the digital odometer and get their funk blowing right in my face when I turned that ignition on, and
Yeah.
you got spilt milk and Cheerios in the back seat on some of these cars. Oh,
It's all over.
I cannot imagine the things you guys have seen.
Cars can get pretty nasty, but houses, some of the houses I've been in my law enforcement career, horrible. All right, so they're going to take her to county.
County, which county? Though?
County jail, Rice County jail.
Rice County Jail.
And we're going to go get this stuff out of my car because it stinks.
Thought you hit a skunk.
Yeah.
Now, the cannabis you find here in central Kansas, you're sandwiched. Colorado, Missouri.
Yep.
Oklahoma's not recreational, it's medical, but if you have a hurt elbow,
Right.
people get like...
Right. They can go get a prescription
Okay.
for it if they want to.
Now, Nebraska's, so you're more or less three sides surrounded by cannabis.
Cannabis, yes.
And is it coming from black market or the States?
If it's coming from Colorado, usually they buy it at a head shop.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri, same. Oklahoma, same. I would say it's probably 60-40. 60,
Okay.
they may probably get it legally in that state, and then I would say probably 40 non-legally. But if anybody in Kansas, obviously, unless they go across the border, it's probably going to be something they buy.
I
obviously.
was floored to learn that there's still a strong black market cannabis industry in California.
Yeah.
You
I
got
would
all
be
these
surprised.
stores
I
where
would
you
be
can just
surprised
go
about
up
that as well.
any day of the
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
But they still do the black market thing.
Yeah. We'll go back to the station, and I'll get a couple things wrapped up. I need to get him a bond amount.
Yeah.
And then I'll have, once the tow truck gets there and gets that, I told Andrew to come back to the station, and then we'll regroup there. And then
Okay.
we're going to take the K9 out, and I'll probably get one of the officers put the bite suit on, and you can
Okay.
watch the dog.
I can call Rebecca down. She might volunteer for that.
I don't know if she'd be okay with that. I don't know if she'd be all right with you volunteering her for that at all. I wouldn't be okay with you volunteering me for that. That's for sure. Yeah, that was just going to be a simple ticket, and then that turned into all of that. So,
Just another day on the job, though.
yeah, sometimes that's how it happens. But at least you got to see that we do actually have that kind of stuff out
Yeah.
here. So
Oh, that type of stuff is everywhere.
it is, for sure.
But the lesson is, if you're going to break the law, just make sure you're not breaking some laws.
Breaking some laws, that's right. Yeah, simple traffic stop. And that's what I try to preach to my guys. I mean, that's what I tell anybody that's getting into, just starting in law enforcement. We have the people that will argue about getting stopped for no turn signal. We'll have the people that argue about getting stopped for a tag light. Are they minuscule stops? Yes, they are. But I just had a conversation with a guy the other day. Out of the probably, 400 people that I've arrested over my 22 years, I would venture to say 45-50% of those were arrests that came off of little minuscule stops that were simply going to be a, hey, get it fixed, talk to you later, and it turns into a DUI, or it turns into a marijuana stop, or it turns into a possession of meth, or those little stops count.
Mhm.
And although people see them as an inconvenience, that's part of how we do our job. I mean, you have to do that stuff to get in and dig into the bigger picture, and it's hard to explain that to some people. And I was young once. I remember I got stopped for a tag light, and I was like, well, that's kind of a BS stop,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. You
Yeah.
know, they're on the books, and they're enforceable. So just like that one there, it's just an expired tag, which is a little bit more of a serious stop to have as far as violation, I guess you should say. But it turned into all of that, and unfortunately, she's going to go to jail, and she's going to have to bond out. And go through all that rigmarole just because she didn't pay her registration on time. But you saw, I mean, we pulled what, 4, 5, 6 different pill bottles up out of that, you know, car, and some of them weren't marked. And that kind of goes back to what I was telling you about, you know, with when someone says they do work in that profession. I mean, you have to look into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Despite those little pill bottles, but being very handy to hold just about anything, whether it's quarters for the car wash
Oh, absolutely.
or
Yeah, absolutely.
Narcotics.
But if they have any type of narcotic in them, then they automatically become paraphernalia at that point.
Okay. I just signed up for something. I don't think it's a good idea, but it will make good video. We're going to do a demonstration with Nitro, the canine law enforcement dog, and I'm going to put on the suit. Can't lie, I'm a little nervous. Okay, Officer Dakota is going first, and Officer Andrew getting him ready, and then I will be up next.
So essentially, Nitro's going to be starting down here. He's going to be running that way towards Dakota, who's going to be moving away from him. And it's going to be a moving bite.
Okay.
So that's what's
You want
going
me
to
to
happen.
mic you up so we can hear your commands?
You good? Come here. Sit. You ready? Stafford, Police Canine, stop running, you will get bit. Nitro, still. Good boy, Nitro. Good boy, baby. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Suspect on still. Nitro. Loose. Good boy. That wasn't. So I'll put him away real quick. We'll get you guys swapped out. When we do the bite, it'll just be on a leash, have you hold up your arm. It'll latch right onto it. Fits most. Nope.
Yeah. Let me walk into this.
That's why I did the bunny hop.
Glad I lost weight recently. Those GLP-1s are coming in handy.
That's why I suggest not to wear the shoes, because this is a very tight one.
Give me a wedgie there, Andrew. Okay, we're good.
All right.
Okay.
Up and over your shoulders. Not too tight.
No, we're good.
Okay. The nice part is you're wearing a mosquito-proof suit.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any problem with mosquitoes out there other than ears.
All right. This one's gonna feel a little bit weirder because it's probably gonna be a whole lot tighter.
Okay. Fat man in a little coat.
Bye.
So when Nitro comes up to you,
Okay.
which arm do you want to feed? Do you want
Left arm.
left arm? Okay.
At least that's lesser value.
Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna stand sideways, and you're gonna want him to bite somewhere here in this range. Okay.
Should I keep my
Nope.
hand tucked in?
Nope.
No.
You want to keep your hand tucked into the vest.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. If you can fit it inside here, even better.
Okay, that's
Okay.
what I was thinking.
Okay. Yep. So if you can do that, what he's gonna do is he's gonna come up and bite right here.
Right here.
Okay. When he bites, just go ahead and take a step with him, and turn with him. That way it doesn't hurt his teeth.
Okay.
But it's also gonna help you kind of keep your balance and stuff too.
And then you're going to release him somewhere around.
So I'm not even gonna release him.
All right.
I'm just gonna keep him right on leash. He's gonna
Okay.
come right up on you. So what you're gonna do is when he's bit on, hold this as close to your chest and keep it up, because the last thing you want is your arm to come down, and he'll work his way down your hand. Okay.
All right.
All right.
That dog is freaking honed in on this suit already.
You're good to go?
I think so.
Okay. Nitro. Foos. Foos. Okay. So I'm going to be turned just... Nitro.
Okay.
I'm going to turn just a little bit more this way. There you go.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Keep your arm up. Keep your arm up. Pull it as hard as you can. There you go. Okay. All right. Go ahead and stay still. Sit. Good
Okay.
boy. Good boy.
Thanks, Nitro. Thanks, Andrew.
You're very welcome. Nitro.
One's enough for me, guys.
Sit. Foos.
Wow. Okay. I think I might have a little mark right here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go over the shot put discus thing. Okay.
Arms well balanced.
Let's see if I can just walk myself out there. Ooh, all right.
It gets hot in there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that is a wrap for this video. Officer Andrew, Officer Dakota, thank you very much for the demonstration.
You're very welcome.
Special thanks to Chief. He's doing some paperwork from the perpetrator this evening.
Got some drugs.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and thank these guys for being out here keeping everybody safe. Bye.